Chapter.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of the Frisco Report. We got a lot of news to break down. We'll get right into it. My co-host, Mike. What's going on, Mike? You ready to do this?
Let's go, Joe. Let's go.
All right, guys. So, great podcast coming up for you guys. Like I said, we have a lot of great topics this evening. First, we're going to talk about a little bit about Dak Prescott, the contract situation, the latest on that. We'll hit up some Zeke news, and we'll also we're going to take a look at the defense, Mike. Is it going to be better this year, or the same, or could it even be worse? So we're going to take a look at all angles, pros, cons, what to expect, and give a little bit of a projection for the defense. All right, everybody? And then we're going to close it out with a segment called Outside the Box. All right, this is going to be a fun segment. I won't give it away right now, but it's going to be good. So without further ado, everybody, the first topic of the night, Mike, will Dak Prescott get a long-term deal? He just signed his, franchise tag, for 30. What is he signing up?
31.4.
$31.4 million. So we know he's going to be in camp. He has to report now. So that's good, right? But they have till July 15th to get a long-term deal done. Now, my question to you, Mike, should they get a long-term deal done? Should he get it? What's your thoughts?
I don't know, because you can look at this two ways. He signs the contract and puts the ball back into his court of getting that July 15th deadline. But and I'm not even trying to play devil's advocate here, Joe. If with him signing that deal and July 15th doesn't happen, he's still playing. He's going to get fined. He has to show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why it's hard for me to say, sign him, lock him in now. It's a whole new offense. It's a whole new head coach. How does he respond to Mike McCarthy? And I honestly think maybe that's where the Cowboys are thinking. Maybe the Cowboys are thinking COVID can play a revenue hit for next year's salary cap in this too. So I'm looking at all aspects of it. If the Cowboys wanted to get it done, it would already been done, right? But with Mike McCarthy, this new offense with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke, the O-line, Blake Jarwin, all this happening right now, if something was to happen and Dak fails, then you could negotiate that deal if you're going to going into the 2021 season. So I don't know if I don't want to say he doesn't deserve it, because he's won games under Jason Garrett eras, but I got to make sure this guy knows how to perform under a real head coach, because that's how we're looking at Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. For me, I'm looking at it as I see Dak signing this as a good faith type situation. He's taking the gamble, that he's going to be able to knock it out the park. You got more weapons now. We saw what he can do with Amari Cooper, a legit number one. Michael Gallup, you put in CeeDee Lamb into the mix. He's making that gamble that's, okay, if the Cowboys don't want to give me the long-term deal, I'm going to knock it out the park here. And, then what? So for me, I know they're talking about a 4 or 5 year deal. That's kind of what, the rumor that the discussion is revolving, that's what the snag is. For me, I actually wouldn't mind going the 4 year deal. No more legacy contracts of 7 and 10 year deals. I think those legacy contracts work well for your offensive linemen. These guys that play long time in the league. Offensive linemen, for the most part, are probably your most durable players on the team. They can play forever into their, mid to late 30s and quality snaps, right? So 4 year deal, you got McCarthy here on a 5 year deal. So, for me, see where they're at. Give them a 4 year deal, and then if after year 2 you're kind of having reservations, you can take a draft pick here. Okay, like say 2022, I think you would project as, okay, right here, we're halfway through Dak's contract. We're not really satisfied with where we're at. We got to do something here. Let Mike McCarthy do what he does best and develop somebody. Could it be Ben DiNucci? Could he be a Tony Romo type diamond in the rough? We don't know that. It's just to be determined. And but that's kind of where I'm looking at it. That's kind of what I hope happens. I hope it's a 4-year deal for me personally. I think it protects both sides. But I do understand your side of the coin, Mike. For sure.
Absolutely. And just before I get my neck ripped off by Cowboy fans that are, like Dak. I like Dak. But and Dak's team should say, you know what? Let's not extend it yet. They just loaded you up on offense. They got a hybrid tight end-esque and Blake Jarwin. They gave you CD Lamb. You could blow the roofs off this place. What did he have, 31 touchdowns last year, something like that? So if he has 35, 38 touchdowns with this new offense, it gives him more leverage to get that Patrick Mahomes money. And it gives Cowboy fans who are like, maybe he don't deserve that deal, a little bit more confidence saying, you know what? Get him where he needs to go. He got us to an NFC championship. Our offense was number one by miles, right? Zeke and Pollard are hitting on all cylinders. Pay the man, 2021, ink the deal up. It doesn't matter. There's a huge gamble there, and I think Dak's team might see that.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, too, they got to look at the guaranteed money. We saw what they did with Amari Cooper's contract. It looks like a 5-year deal, right, on the surface. But taking a closer look at it, the Cowboys do have that leeway, that ejection button after year 2. So it's almost like a 2-year contract, but they fronted a lot of that money to Amari Cooper, right? I wouldn't mind them doing something like that. If they go the 5-year route, they need to have some sort of ejection button just in case, Of course, they're going to give that money. They're going to front load it with the guarantees. Dak's going to come out of this sitting pretty no matter what. But the Cowboys, they do need to protect themselves. But I think the thing that I'm really optimistic about is Mike McCarthy. A lot of fans are still shell-shocked about Jason Garrett, and they're shy. They're kind of, trying to get out of their foxholes. Some of these fans are still not confident that we're going to win more than 8 games. I've seen predictions 8-8, 9-7. Like, come on, man. Look at the talent. Look what Mike McCarthy does. If we do bad like that, something catastrophic happened. We lost Zeke, we lost Dak, and Andy Dalton can't move the team. So, something catastrophic is going to have to happen for us to not have a very successful season. But the quarterback is like one of the biggest parts to a team's success. You see the numbers. They talk about, certain cap percentages, top 10 quarterbacks that make it to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. They're on smaller deals and they're able to get it done. And then, they talk about these contracts that are really big, not so much. So, is that a coincidence or is there something to that? And what do you think about that, Mike? Do you think there's something connected to the price of a player versus them getting into the Super Bowl?
Well, that's why the NFL is so competitive, Joe, because they do have a salary cap. You can't allocate those dollars to one player. The NFL salary cap is made so you don't have 22 superstars, 11 on this side, 11 on that side. Yeah. And so it makes sense to me, if you allocate dollars everywhere across your board, maximize that talent all through those 22 guys playing on offense and on defense, it makes sense to me that if you have a smaller window for your quarterback who takes up, 30% of your salary cap anyway, then it's going to benefit you because do you want so let's say Dak signs, a 4-year deal, 5-year deal. And then whoever we just drafted in the first round, CD Lamb, right? CD Lamb comes through. Yes, Amari Cooper will leave and CD Lamb will take that money. But let's say they took Amari Cooper's money, gave it to the defense side of the ball. Now it's time for CD Lamb to get paid after his 5th-year option and stuff. Dak Prescott's taking all this salary cap up. Do you want an aging quarterback, or do you want a wide receiver that's still in its prime? God knows what the running back position will look like then too. You know what I mean? So you got to allocate those dollars all over the place, and not just in one position, not just the quarterback position, but one position.
Yeah, well said. It's all about cap management, roster management. Hopefully the Cowboys have learned something along the way, just when you think they're learning, how to handle this thing, they come out with something crazy, whether it's a crazy trade or a big bloated contract. So we'll see how they handle this. It's a little bit of a landmine, especially with what's going on in the world right now with the COVID and all that kind of crap. So shifting gears here, let's talk about his teammate, the workhorse running back Ezekiel Elliott. Getting news here that he, still has the COVID, but he's dealing with it relatively well, not having the adverse side effects and that kind of thing. What's your thoughts on that, Mike? How do you feel about him, where he's going to be physically for training camp and the season, getting through this COVID?
I mean, it's good news. Over 120,000 Americans died with this illness already. And you look at the metrics of it, it's 65 and older, and then there's a 35 to 35 year gap where you're seeing a lot of deaths there too. And I think it's great news. I think that Ezekiel Elliott, will be ready for training camp as soon as a negative test comes back. How's his strength? How's his conditioning? Did this allow him to do any type of cardio work or anything like that to get those lungs flowing? Because it's a respiratory infection, right?
Yeah.
What did that do to his lungs? Did it scar any tissue? Did it mess up anything in the esophagus? That there's a lot that plays into this, but if he's feeling normal, he's feeling great, maybe it didn't mess up anything for Zeke, and I think he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing from this is the scarring of the lung tissue, and I think a lot of that is in some of these more extreme cases where these people have a really bad infection, they have to get oxygen. I think when you see it like that, then there's probably some of that. But as long as he's not needing the oxygen tank and his oxygen numbers are above 90, I think we're in the clear with that. What I'm hoping that a lot of these players are doing is exercising their lungs. They're talking about we see MMA players and boxers do this with elevation training. They train up in the hills and Big Bear, up in the mountains to, acclimate their lungs, and gives them more stamina, right? So this can be reproduced, at regular sea level, with masks. They call them elevation masks. Some of them are really advanced, and it gives you that simulation that you're in the mountains, and it really works out your lungs. So I'm hoping that the trainers and these kinds of guys are implementing something like that for these guys, just to get them prepared, and have that full capacity, that lung strength, for the season. It doesn't hurt to do it,
Yeah. And Zeke had a few comments here. He said, hey, I hope we play. I want to let you know, I hope that, we have a season, but it has to be right. It has to. We got to put the health of the players and the coaches and support staff first. I think that's important.
I would say I had maybe 1 or 2 days where I felt symptoms, and even then it wasn't too bad. I had a cough and a little bit of shortness of breath, but now I would say I feel good. I feel normal. Still can't work out. I gotta wait until I could have went and got retested this week. I just decided, it won't hurt just to wait another week and just give myself more time to rest up. But I feel good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where everything is at right now. This is all, everybody's in no man's land. We're having spikes all over the country. Here in Texas, we're experiencing a major outbreak right now. So we'll see how that affects things. Hopefully the Cowboys are still on course to practice at the Star. They're going to have to tighten that up, though. I'm pretty sure it's going to be even stricter. Probably no cameras, nobody, So we're going to have to really probably get information from, DallasCowboys.com. I don't think they'll have NFL Network crew out there or ESPN or these guys. It's going to, for the Cowboys fans, I think we're going to really rely on the the mothership on DallasCowboys.com, because it's going to be restricted in my opinion. Hopefully it is, So that being said, Mike, let's go ahead and we talked about the offense, Dak and Zeke here. Let's shift gears to the defense now, okay? For 2020, let's look at all angles here real quick. Do you feel that the defense is going to be better this season, the same, or does it possibly take a step back? What are your concerns? What are you pumped about? How do you feel about the defense here, Mike?
I'll start with what I'm pumped about. I'm pumped that these corners will be able to turn their heads and not get a butt chewing.
Yeah.
I'm pumped that we're going to change a lot of things up and not just run high school football plays on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah.
I want them to disguise coverage. They weren't able to do that in the last era. I want them to disguise blitzes. I want them to blitz a lot more. I'm excited to see what Mike Nolan can bring, and just the coaching staff that he brought with him. I think Leon Lett is the only guy on the defense side of the ball that stayed from the last era. And Leon Lett has a winning mentality, so I don't even know was he even processing what Ron Marinelli and Chris Richard was even trying to schematically teach him to teach to the players. He came from winning mentality. You know what I mean? So it's going to be great to see, how Tank Lawrence adapts to this. What can Gerald McCoy, Dontarian Poe, Alden Smith, what would he look like? There's so many optimisms going in, and I don't think there's more concerns. There's more of those questions, Joe. How's HaHa Clinton-Dix going to look? Because when he was a Redskin, he didn't look great, especially against the Cowboys. He had an okay season against the Chicago Bears. Leighton Vander Esch, how's his neck? Does this delay of COVID help him rehab more, get those neck muscles stronger? Jalen Smith, where's his confidence level at? He didn't have a great season, but he didn't have a really bad season either. But you don't celebrate on 1st and 10 touchdowns. You don't swipe on 1st and 10 tackles. You know what I mean? So Anthony Brown, he took a team-friendly deal. What's he going to look like? A lot of competition at the corners, but there's no more concern than there is questions for me, Joe.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I feel the same way about this defense as well. A lot of optimism, like you said. I mentioned this in the video, mine. Cowboys had 39 sacks last season, and again 39 sacks the season before. So for me, the Cowboys for this defense to take the next level, you got to have that second double-digit sack artist. In 2018, double-digit sack artist was the law. We didn't have that other presence. We didn't have another guy that could get double digits. Last year, it was Quinn. He was the double-digit guy. And, we saw, Lawrence have some issues. Not that he had a bad season. He plays the run. He's probably top 3 defensive end, maybe number 1 even. He plays the run better than any defensive end here, in the league. So you got to take the stats here with DeMarcus Lawrence. But I think for the team to get to that next level on defense, you got to have 2 double-digit sack artists. So hopefully it's Lawrence, and hopefully it's Alden Smith kicking it in gears and, kicking in all cylinders. And, Randy Gregory, he'll be in the mix. Hopefully, we know that right now he has, in fact, applied for reinstatement. It's in the hands of Goodell. So we got to see where that's going to go. But you do have new talent coming in here. You got Bradley and I think he'll be a DPR player, pass rushing downs and that kind of thing. You don't really want him out there playing the run. He does good. But that long range speed, the pursuit, the angles, is not quite there for a 9. Pin his ears back, let him get around that tackle, and he can go to work. He can be a vital piece to this defense. And the middle of the defense, Mike, this is something that we've talked about for a couple seasons now. Soft, but now, what do we call these guys, Mike? What have we been calling? Baconators. We have them now. We have the Baconators, the double Baconators, and it's an improvement. So you got to feel better with that. Gerald McCoy, yeah, he's not the young at his prime level, but he still has enough pop. He was productive last season with the Panthers. So
He'll get you 5 sacks a year.
Yeah, he'll get you 5, and that's fine. I think that's a good sweet spot for a defensive tackle, especially at this age. I think for me, I see McCoy as a Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers kind of bounced around there from Green Bay to the Bears and back to the Panthers, but he was still very productive in his back end of his career, Hall of Fame career. Pretty much end of the day, I think he's a Hall of Famer. McCoy has that opportunity. He's leaned up. I think he's going to be even quicker off the snap. And Gallimore, I don't think enough people are talking about Gallimore. He's the one that I'm really looking forward to. We talked about his speed. He gets after it. He was one of the faster big men. That nimble bear. that's Gallimore. He's going to get after these guys. You think of a bear. These guys can run fast and get after people. You can't outrun a bear, and that's how I see Gallimore, man. He's gonna get after these people and collapse the pocket, and that's what.
Clinton Dix just outran 2 bears. Did you see that?
I did see that. I did see that. I would have done the same thing. I probably would have ran a 4.2 40. There's no way, man. There's no way you want to mess with those guys. Those guys get on you quick, Yeah. But you mentioned Clinton Dix. I think there's optimism there, but you make a great point that, if we're being completely honest, and that's a problem that some fans have, they fall in love with. He was a first-round pick, Alabama. And then
Mike McCarthy.
McCarthy. But you do have to take a step back, right? You got to look at what has he done? Why has he bounced around? Why didn't he stick around in Green Bay? So there's a lot to it. Could he be another George Iloka? Gets a lot of fanfare, and at the end of the day, doesn't even make the team. Is that a possibility? You just never know. I'm not saying that can happen, but we have seen this happen before, where they sign a player, and everybody jumps on board like, yeah. Well, we got this guy. Let me do a highlights video on this guy and this and that, and then the guy doesn't even make the team. So let's not pencil or pin him in. Let's see what the competition is, because that's what we've been talking about, Mike. This whole offseason, the roster churn. Mike McCarthy wants to put his thumbprint on here. He doesn't want to keep the same people in here that weren't getting it done. He's had the whole year to study the Cowboys, and he's told us that he's done that. He's looked at the analytics. Yeah. He's looked at the weaknesses of this team. So he already kind of knows, who's on thin ice. Who, if they don't show anything this year, we're going to go with the guy who's going to play. Could it be Donovan Wilson, Mike? Could it be Xavier Woods and Donovan Wilson? Could it be somebody come out of nowhere, a Luther Kirk? So maybe he has a fantastic camp. Who knows? What do you think about the free and the strong safety position that everybody's talking about? And we'll get into this here in a minute, but what's your gut feeling on what's going to happen at the end of the day at the safety position, Mike?
Well, Xavier Woods is going to win that free safety spot, hands down. He's in a contract year. History shows if you wear a star on your helmet and your contract's about to expire, you go make plays. And with this new scheme and these new disguises, and Xavier Woods being very vocal, it's crazy how different it is playing ball for this new era. I think it's really going to benefit a guy who was a ball hawk at Louisiana Tech. Yeah. That's when watching, Xavier Woods, watching that film at Louisiana Tech. I mean, this guy has a knack for football. And then, yes, competition is key for that strong safety position. I don't want just a box safety. I want a strong safety that can cover a tight end. Whether it's Rob Gronkowski, whether it's, Ingram in his prime, Jason Witten I want a strong safety that can do everything. Charles Woodson-esque, you know what I mean? Where they can cover that tight end. They can play box. They can give your Cheeto Bay-Woosley help high on the top, And Donovan Wilson, I see a lot of traits where he can do that. He's long. He's strong. He's sticky. We've seen him. He has a knack for the football being in the air. We've seen that. Ball control, hand-eye coordination. Donovan Wilson has a great opportunity here because he still has restricted tenders coming up. HaHa Clinton just has 1 year. Go make a name, Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, I love the Donovan Wilson story because we saw that he was having a meteoric rise. You know, it was exciting to see the preseason games when you knew, man, this guy's going to get the ball. He would get it. He would make an interception. He knew how to play that ball. He followed the eyes of the quarterback. It would sit in the zone. He just had a natural ability, you know, and he gets his coach. He gets his Aggies coach here on the staff now. So I think that's another bonus for him. You know, you mentioned LVE, Mike. Let's expand on that. So LVE, the neck, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee. So this trio of players, I think, is going to be possibly the most vital part of this defense. You know, these are the guys that are running around chasing down, you know, some of your running backs, and, you know, in some cases have to make coverage plays and or even make blitzes. So I think if you're talking about Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, you know, like we've said this, how's that net going to hold up? I'm interested to see how they handle him in training camp. Is he going to even practice? You know, he said he's 100%. He's ready to go. We're going to find out. If we get reports here that he's sitting out and, you know, on the sidelines and this and that, then that's not the case. You know, do they want to bubble wrap him? I don't know.
I think you got to take precautions on it. You know, we are talking about someone's neck. So, I mean, if he's sitting out 2 weeks into practice, I'm okay with that, because we're talking about his neck. You know, you don't want to rush things, hurt him in the future, will require another surgery. Let him get on the cords, let him ease him back to work, let him get that first contact, you know, maybe 2-3 weeks in, and see how he feels and go from there, you know. And depending on how this season plays out, if it's going to get delayed, pushed out, whatever, it could benefit everybody in the long run. And LVE, number one, could really benefit from it, Joe.
LVE, Leighton Vander Esch. I think Luke Gifford might be the one wild card in this whole linebacker group because, you know, like you said, you know, they might have to sit LVE out, precautionary. And they do the same with Sean Lee. You know, he's got hamstring issues and that kind of thing. So Luke Gifford, he's another one that looked really good. He gave me that same feeling that Donovan Wilson gave me, where it's like, this is a young player, came out of nowhere, and he's getting after it. He's earning that star. You know, these are the players that you want on the team, the ones that want to go and grab that roster spot. And I feel that Luke Gifford has that in him. And yeah, man, if these guys have to sit out, those snaps are going to really be vital for his career progression for Luke Gifford. And
yeah,
he's got the size, he's got the speed, and he can play that ball, can play the run. He could be the future there for one of these players, you know, Sean Lee or whatever. So I'm hoping, and I think the Cowboys are hoping that that's the case. You don't want to have to keep investing high picks at the linebacker position if you don't need to. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
You know, and knowing is half the battle. Knowing is half the battle. That's what we're here for, you guys, here at the Frisco Report, covering all angles. You know, the pros and cons. We don't want to be the homers that just give you a bunch of fluff like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're going to be fine. So, Mike, the next topic here that we want to hit up is the conversation of the day, the one that doesn't seem to want to go away, and that is the safety position. So we're going to do a little outside the box thinking in this segment. It is called Outside the Box. Okay, everybody is zeroed in, tunnel vision in on the Jamal Adams trade. In likelihood, to be 100% honest, I don't see it happening. Do I want him on this team? I would love to have Jamal Adams. I think he's, like you said, one of those guys that can cover. Not a box safety. This guy will hit the crap out of you, but he will cover you and do well at it. So he's a really good one. But I just don't see it happening for the picks that they're going to want, you know. But, Mike, that being said, let's think outside the box. Let's get away from zeroing in on a player. Is there anybody else that you think the Cowboys should consider trading offense, defense to shore up the roster?
Well, my player, the only way you trade for him is if you feel like he can slip away in free agency. My guy is Budda Baker, the Arizona Cardinals. He doesn't have any interceptions. He is a smaller, stockier, strong safety. That's what we Cowboy fans who play general manager. That's position that they've been trying to fill for years. Right? Is that strong safety position? And I think Budda Baker coming in here, if they trade for him, I don't even know if he'll be, that expensive. He kind of underperformed with the Cardinals, but fresh start players, schematics, all that can help a player rejuvenate careers. And that would be my guy. And I mean, he like I said, he's underperformed. He's played in 36 games. He's been eligible for 46 of them. And it just really hasn't worked out for Arizona. I think maybe a third or a fourth round pick will get him over here. And I think you can plug and play him, work with Mike Nolan, work with our defensive back coaches, and he might be able to turn this team around on the back end.
Yeah, and that's a great name that I've been talking about as well. Budda Baker, Washington safety, drafted by the Cardinals. He had an outstanding rookie season for 5'10", a scrappy player. He reminds me of an Orlando Scandrick back in his prime, but at the safety position, obviously. I wouldn't mind that, and he, do they franchise tag him? I don't know. I don't know that the Cardinals would do that. They might let him walk. He wants Eddie Jackson type of money. So Eddie Jackson, that's big money. A lot of these safeties, they're driving up the market. We talk about the market value. A lot of people get uproared about, the price tag that Dak Prescott might potentially make. That's just what the market is. If Eddie Jackson got this amount of money and you're seeing Budda Baker as a comparable type of player who gives you that type of production, tackling people all over the place, then that's what the market might be. But if you want to talk about, shoring up the defense, a lot of it for years has been the safety position. Yeah. And for me, there's a couple players I like. I think you could do something with Marcus Williams, second round pick for the Saints. I think you're talking about the same price range though. These are premium safeties that a lot of people are not really talking about. Could he be had? Could you make a trade for that guy? Is he in the long-term plans for the Saints? If not, maybe the Saints will have maybe they'll listen to some trades, for him. Marcus Williams, check him out. Really good safety there for the Saints. Keanu Neal for the Atlanta Falcons. I think there's some ties there with Mike Nolan. The thing about Neal, he's had 2 injuries last 2 seasons, kind of knocked him out. Would that drive the price down a little bit? He'll hit free agency in 2021. So he's 24 years old. Typically what I like to do, and I think you've seen this with Will McClay, when he wants to add some players here that still have some youth to them to see if he can resurrect careers and get something out of them. And I think you can do that with a player like that, with a player like Budda Baker. I think he's like 25, right? That's a good age. Keanu Neal, he's young. Marcus Williams, he's got youth to him. So you can get give him an extension and you'll get something out of it. And you won't have to draft somebody at safety. Cowboys seem to be allergic drafting safeties. I mentioned Hufanga out of USC as a possibility towards the end of the first round. Keep an eye on that one there for USC. Could they look at somebody a little bit older, a little bit longer in the tooth, like a Harrison Smith from the Vikings? We have George Edwards here now for the Cowboys on the staff. Would he want to bring him in here and shore up the safety position? Harrison Smith, excellent safety. Cover, pass deflections is his game. He's a really good free safety, but he can get in the scrum as well. So he's a well-rounded safety. But he is 31. But then you start talking about this roster and shoring it up. Could you get him here on a trade for? I think you could get Harrison Smith in here for a cheap deal. You could probably get him in here for cheap, and instant leader, captain, and he can, lead that secondary. If you're not completely sold on these safeties, and that's what part of this evaluation process is going to be for Mike McCarthy. He's not married to Clinton Dix. Yes, he drafted him, but at the end of the day, if you can get better, I think Mike McCarthy will have no problem saying, hey, let's take a look at this. George Edwards likes Harrison Smith. He's available for cheap. Bring him in here. We can get 2 or 3 years out of him, possibly. 31, like I said, he's not old. Obviously, you would like him to be younger, but he's kind of at that age range where if we're talking about the Cowboys trying to make a run here within the next 2 years, that fits that category. Get somebody that you can get at least 2 years out of him. Make that run. Make him be a part of that. So a lot of players here that we talked about, Mike. I like your pick, Buda Baker.
If I had to go with the player long in the tooth, Joe, mine would be Sean Williams. Right now he's playing with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
He's 29. You brought up Anthony Harris. Sean Williams had his best career in 2018 with 5 interceptions and 110 total tackles combined, right? So 7 years, entering his 8th. If you want to trade for a guy like Sean Williams, he can get you some production, probably better than Jeff Heath and Clinton Dix there. So long in the tooth guy for me would be Sean Williams from Cincinnati.
There you go, man. And that's really what we want to pound the table for, guys, is let's not get tunnel vision on one player. It happened last year with Earl Thomas. It happens almost every year, right? The Cowboys come out here and they do make a trade for somebody. So go out there, guys, and look at these rosters. Obviously, there's a lot more players that could have interest in. Maybe they like a tight end. Maybe they like a John Ross, the Bengals. First round bust. He's got the speed. He could give you some pop in the return game. Maybe they throw a 6th rounder for him. You can get that guy super cheap, right? So think about these types of deals. This is the type of deals that the Cowboys would do. Somebody that's kind of not really meshing well with their current team. Cowboys can pick them off for cheap, plug them in, and then see what they can do. Rock and roll with that, with that guy.
Yeah, I think that was a great discussion there. And, I'm a Cowboy fan. Everybody gets locked in on one key player, but, you got to look outside the box, as Joe called this segment, and, go get you go cherry pick some favorites. Don't just stumble on one because it's the most popular name. So I think that was a great discussion.
Absolutely. Mike, great discussion. Great topics here for you guys. I hope you guys let us know in the comments, whether you're catching this on the podcast on iTunes or if you're catching it on YouTube. Let us know in the comments. Who do you have out there that nobody's talking about that you wouldn't mind cherry picking off and adding to the Cowboys? Offense, defense, let us know in the comments, because don't be surprised if the Cowboys make a move like that,
Yeah.
Could happen. They've done it before. So let us know in the comments. Mike, let everybody know where they can find you. If they haven't already, I recommend that you do. But Mike, let these guys know where they can find you at.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboy Football News on YouTube and on Facebook. DCF News 1 on Twitter, guys. Give me a follow. Give me a DM. That's the only way the conversation starts. On my YouTube channel this whole entire week, I'm doing a series called Let's Catch Up. I already done one with 5th Quarter Cowboys, Space Cowboy 17, and now tomorrow at noon I'm going live with Tyson the West Coast Cowboy for the middle of the week. So make sure you catch that Let's Catch Up series, guys. There's a playlist for it too if you missed the other 2.
Definitely catch that. Lots of great guests on Mike's channel there. I like those guys there. Space Cowboy is a good one, and everybody that he's talked to so far. Great series, Mike. Also, we gotta give a shout out to that jersey that you're wearing there. That's CeeDee Lamb. Look at that. Look at that. Gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta get me one. I'm just like, I gotta get it, man. You know what? I've seen like the alternate one too. I don't know if I guess it's the throwback one. That looks freaking crazy good. Like, sweet.
Yeah. I'm just happy I get to wear 88 again.
Yeah. 88, man. Such an iconic jersey for the Cowboys, and for CeeDee Lamb to to step up to the challenge. I think he sees it as a challenge. So pumped about that. But that's it, guys. You can find me here, obviously, if you're catching this on podcast, Cowboys Blog Net on Twitter, and Cowboys Blog on Instagram. So hit us up. Hit up Mike's channel. Show him some love over there. And that's it, guys. We will catch you next week for the next episode of the Frisco Report. Remember to catch us on the webpage, www.thefriscoreport.com, and on Twitter at the Frisco Report. All right, guys. But that's all we have for right now. We will catch you for the next episode. Peace.